On today's Minute of the Apes, Dane would like you to know that it's orangutans, not orangutan.
Word.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Exercise would an ape make a human down. It talks. We are the keepers of the divine bound. It is our only reason for survival. We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace. The only good human is a dead human!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. It's Tuesday. That means I'm Todd. I don't know what it'll be on Wednesday, but I'm Todd. That's Richard. That's Sean.
Hey.
Here we are, minute 52. It's almost like a day went by in a matter of minutes.
I know.
And here we are with minute 52. Is there anything anybody needs to say off the top?
Nope.
Oh, you know what? We didn't set the stage. We usually tell everybody where we're recording this week. This week we're up in Zeus North, I think we called it.
We are. But where half of my stock is in the Zeus North.
Room,
This room,
Yes. And so my wife actually compelled me to build the recording studio up in my private room where I keep all my guitars and whatnot. And also my collection of just about every nerd thing in the world that I love.
I see Star Wars and Batman and Simpsons and all sorts of fun things and Speed Racer. Freaking love the Mach 5.
I do too. My father-in-law, dearly departed father-in-law, actually gave me that. And it's one of those, those weird things when family members give you a present, you're kind of usually like, oh, thanks. That was one he put in front of me. I was like, damn, yes. I think I was a 3-year-old playing with it during Christmas.
They could
Chin Chin fits in the trunk?
Yep.
All right.
They could have continued to make that product if that company hadn't folded and just, I would.
Is that what happened?
I would love to have that on my shelf forever. Yeah.
I love they did a great job. There's so many, when you collect things like this, there'll be those people that almost get it right, but that one
beautiful.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And by the way, do you see my Planet of the Apes figures that you got for us just down here?
Yeah, I do.
I got to find, didn't they make like wasn't it a, Statue of Liberty almost like set where you could display them?
I'll be honest, I've seen images of something like that, but I don't know if it's actually been produced, but
okay.
I honestly haven't spent the time doing the research on it.
Well, I do hope that since you are my,
I will go find this.
My junkie, if you'll, isn't that what you are when you
junkie?
No,
I'm the junkie. You're the
I'm pusher
man.
You're pusher.
He's the pusher man.
Yeah.
This is Lily White Todd trying to sound street. So sorry about that.
Word.
All right, so here we are, minute 52. Sean, why don't you tell us what's going on?
All right, minute 52. We start with Zira saying she withheld nothing and ends with Cornelius taking a seat after Hasline calms him down.
And here we come with minute 52 of Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
I withheld nothing. Nobody asked me.
But if somebody had asked.
I should have said that chimpanzees had no part in the destruction of Earth. Only the gorillas and the orangutans.
Well, what's the difference? You're all monkeys.
Please do not use the word monkey. It is offensive to us. As an archaeologist, I had access to history scrolls which were kept secret from the masses, and I suspect that the weapon which destroyed Earth was man's own invention. I do know this. One of the reasons for man's original downfall was your peculiar habit of murdering one another. Man destroys man. Apes do not destroy apes.
Cornelius, this is not an interracial hassle, but a search for facts. We do not deny the possibility of man's decline and fall. All we want to find out is how apes rose.
As minute 52, we have a planet's worth of humans, plus 2 living apes, 1 who is pregnant, and 1 dead ape.
Dead ape.
Dead ape.
Dead ape.
Dead ape.
Dead ape. Dead ape. Dead ape. Dead ape. Dead ape.
Dead ape.
Wow, wow. Okay, so that was
Wait,
it. This is the musical episode of Minute of the Apes. We'll be back tomorrow.
You know where the Lone Ranger takes his garbage, right?
No.
To the dump, to the dump, to the dump, 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 to the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump.
And this was the vaudeville moment.
Wow.
Dad jokes are done.
Ooh,
I know you have a kid.
Gravy.
So Zira's opening line, there's something so simple about it that I absolutely love it. I'm just I withheld nothing. Nobody asked me. I
Yeah.
just love that. It's so simple. Like, okay, scene's done. We're over. We're
Yeah.
out.
That's-
Interrogation's in. Over.
That's kind of my note. Is she supposed to volunteer her whole life? I mean, what is, relevant and what's not relevant?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
The only thing that took me out of it is it is truly one of the moments that if you watch, you see Kim's teeth, her actual teeth. When she says,
yeah, I
ask
see
me,
it.
it's like, and it's
I
like,
see him right now. Yeah, it's being shot a little bit above, so you can kind of look into her jaw a little
They
bit more.
so rarely give that camera angle where it will
where you can see
give into
mouth.
that. I mean, there are even places later on, I think it's in Tomorrow's Minute, where Roddy is positioned just beautifully, and he is acting and chewing with that mask on, but you don't see his teeth. But in this place, unfortunately, we get a little bit of Kim's
it's
teeth.
just the angle they're shooting at. I mean, it's shooting because they're trying to get the interrogation, so they're shooting a little bit above, which they don't normally do. And I think that gives you that angle.
And I think that were these made today, I think of my daughter's retainers that, whenever I grew up, I didn't ever wear braces, but retainers are those god awful things that look like pink flesh you shove up there with a wire. Now they're these plastic things. I would imagine that if you did this kind of prosthetic, you would almost put a black thing over their teeth to hide the teeth.
Probably really
Well,
simple
heck,
to
if nothing
modify.
else, they just digitally erase it.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. But you're absolutely right. I love, even in these moments, Zira's sass does not escape because that is just the perfect Zira answer.
You didn't ask me.
There's a so Zira comes. The E1 says if somebody had asked you, there was the point that I was referencing at the start of the minute was, I should have said chimpanzees had no part in the destruction of Earth, only gorillas, and Dane actually has orangutans hyphenated to distinguish it being orangutans as opposed to orangutans.
Right. And
but they say orangutans in the
they
moment.
do. And especially as scientists, you would think that they of all people would get their own species names correct.
Well, for all we know, in the future, they do call them orangutans.
Maybe they like Tang when they went to the moon. Wait, they didn't ever go to the moon.
It's just so unique that he would hyphenate it in such a way to make it stand out. He didn't put it in quotes. He hyphenated it to make it 2 syllables. So you could, or I guess
orangutan.
So you would say it distinctly. I guess the next moment is what's the difference? You're all monkeys. Have they ever said before that monkeys was offensive to them?
No, I had that. They should have set up the monkey offense in previous movies. Like Taylor or Brent or somebody should have called them monkeys, and they should have been offended at that.
But, and we're going to get into it this week, there are some, and we may get corrected by Joe Meeb again and tell me that I'm incorrect, but there are some inaccuracies coming in these moments as far as to what has transpired previous to this. And so I think the idea of jumping in here, I almost felt like this scene is written for people who don't have a deep understanding of what the films have allowed before, other than that there's been a Planet of the Apes and humans went to it. So when they throw out the monkey thing, I kind of felt that it was, let's add something new so that there can be offense, so they can be on the defensive. I really think that's the only reason it was
it's the
thrown
Back
at
to the
this
Future
point.
too, where all of a sudden Marty gets upset because people call him chicken. And they've never set that up in the first movie of him getting upset that people call him chicken.
True.
So what I found interesting about Zira and Cornelius' 2 statements back to back, that only gorillas and orangutans, chimpanzees had no part in the destruction of Earth.
How does she know that?
Cornelius comes back to a defense. He references the scrolls, which I think will be relevant coming up right now because there's some things that I had some issues with, and I'm just going to pretend like Cornelius read scrolls and shared those with
you
Zira.
and I are on the same page, and I think that we really hit in that tomorrow somewhat.
We do, yeah. The thing that was interesting is he says, I do know that the reason for man's original downfall was your peculiar habit of murdering one another. Man destroy man, apes do not destroy apes. But the 2 statements combined with Zira's, they sound like gorillas and orangutans were part of the destruction, and then he's saying apes. I'm trying to put 2 things together that don't make sense.
Well, entirely. They're literally saying man destroyed themselves. So we didn't do that. That's all your shit. And we don't fight. We don't have internal fights.
I know, but they conflict with each other to me because it sounds like Zira saying, we did destroy Earth, just not the chimpanzees, but then apes do not destroy apes. But we might destroy the Earth. Like it was just, there was too much.
It's all over the place, but it also does a good job of establishing this idea that men are inherently violent toward one another, whereas apes had evolved into this, we don't kill each other. And so we are somehow a higher species without saying we're a higher species.
I did have a note here. Man destroys ape. Ape does not, except for if they fuck with a nuclear missile. Then they kill everybody.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, technically, Zira and Cornelius really don't know what happened. beneath what caused the destruction.
They don't have
going off to war.
They were just in the spaceship and saw Earth blowing up or whatever.
They don't know what it is, but Cornelius is suggesting that it's a weapon of destruction. And we've seen the movies. We know what it is and we know what happens.
And I'm usually the one that messes more with the, hey, I know we're talking 1 minute at a time, but tomorrow really sort of opens that door of where are they getting knowledge that is something they should not possess. So I'm going to ask that we at least save that for tomorrow, because I think tomorrow is just really out there as far as that goes.
So Hasline brings it back to the monkey comment by saying this is not an interracial hassle, but a search for facts. So we wanted to, in the first movie, we wanted to talk about, race in America a lot. And this is kind of bringing it back, which is why I think the use of monkey was kind of thrown in here, so we can begin to bring those parallels back in.
I agree.
But I don't think it sets a really good stage between, in this particular moment between apes and humans. I don't really think it really was necessary other than to put them on the guard for the interrogation.
And I think that one thing we have to remember is that, when you look at the modern Star Wars franchise, where you've got countless numbers of people whose job it is to keep the story straight. You have people, that'll come and go, Rey wouldn't do this because she did this in the first
We've already
film.
established it, yeah.
This is in territory that film really didn't have to this point. Yes, you had James Bond, but those are still more, and I think we talked about this, I think during the first movie, that, with Bond, that's essentially the same movie each time with a little bit of world building, but it's always the same thing. This is the first time in the history of film, and not in serials. Serials had done this, but in the actual major film releases where they tried to build a world and take these things, I don't know that they had thought that far ahead of, we need to be consistent. People didn't see the movies in the same way. They didn't dissect them 1 minute at a time.
And they didn't replay them and have them on stream all the time where they could look at it and and you went to the movie once, maybe twice. If you loved it, you'd go see it at a matinee again.
Right.
So, this is the first moment. The E2, the one who is described as icy, is the one who uses the monkey reference. So I really never got E1 as being amiable this entire time. He still seems like, he doesn't seem aggressive. He just seems on point. He doesn't seem nice. E2, the one who actually uses the monkey comment, is supposed to be the icy one, so it makes sense that it would come from him. So Cornelius stands up to go to E1 to respond to him. One little odd note, just because it's the next few minutes is full, it drives me crazy. There is a lamp on the wall, kind of a lamp sconce that is shining on absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Really?
Why, it's not on. It's not turned on. The light is off.
Okay.
But however they staged this room, that one little lamp with two kind of
the lights are going down too,
jutting out, pointing down. I have no idea why it's on the side of a door on the.
Oh yeah, seeing.
I have no idea what it's for, what it shines on, what its purpose is.
You're talking the one that almost looks like a bathroom light, like something would put above our mirror to shave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hanging on the wall there beside the door, which makes me think this is a repurposed room for this scene as opposed to a built set.
See, if anything, I would almost say it's a built set, because you can even, if you look over above the map to the right, you can see a line there that almost feels like those were constructed. Edge. Yeah, that they were put together at some point.
Well, I don't know why the lamp is on the wall.
That is a set dresser just going, I got to put something there.
The maps make sense to me. The desk arrangement makes sense. Since we can't have an actual interrogation room where they're behind a two-way mirror or anything like that. So this works, but that lamp, it just drove me nuts. It's like I'm looking, what is its purpose? What is it doing there?
And I know it's 70s style, but look how tight and close that jacket is, where it closes up like almost right under where the tie is tied.
Yeah, that double-breasted look. His jacket is really
tight, or like really
he's got it pulled together.
Whatever, yeah.
So I want to also,
you can see where the button is. It's right there.
I know there are three little tiny people underneath him propping him up. That's why the jacket is so tight.
So the lighting in this scene, though, it actually remains pretty consistent with, when we had the let's throw a bright light in their face. At least we still have heavy use of shadows in the background. These are things that I complained about, in the first film, where it was very broadly lit.
Yeah, very flat.
There's a textural idea to this. They're not turning away from that, hey, we're in an interrogation situation, even though this shot of with Roddy with this agent, they're very well exposed. The back of it's still atmospheric.
I was actually going to compliment this. We complained about it when we were earlier in the hotel scenes, when they weren't blown out a little bit more because we got really bad shadows in the hotel. But for these shots here, it makes sense that you would see these ominous shadows cast along the wall. So yeah, and they're also still well lit. I agree with you. It was one of my notes for I think a minute or two from now.
I think really stood out. Today we would see a little bit more of a purposeful direction of light. The only thing that I could criticize is this is a phantom light source. Where is this coming from? This kicking these hard shadows.
Unmotivated light source. Yeah.
It's very unmotivated. Today, those shadows would probably be down a little bit because it would be coming from the desk. But to the point, I'm not going to complain a lot. Really well lit. Really sets a tone for this. Even when we see Roddy fighting and he's well exposed,